Hey everybody, John MELBYE with Become Demand Driven. And I want to talk to you today about inventory management. And perhaps we'll call this series, How Hard Could It Be, really? So inventory management at its heart is keeping inventory levels between 2 points. A point where we don't have enough, we'll call that too little. And a point where we have excess inventory, we'll call that too much. Now, besides the ambiguity of I have a number in mind for too little and you have a different number in mind for too little, beyond that, we have a different problem. When we think about too little, what are we actually talking about? Often we're talking about the quantity. That could be units, that could be gallons, some measurement of units. We're talking about quantity. So too little is a number of units. But when we go to the other side and we think about how much is too much, in companies today, we're being measured not by units. We're being measured by dollars. So now I have to try and keep my inventory between too little units and too many dollars. And that becomes hard to do. It's hard to get your head wrapped around. Right? If I said, go to your refrigerator and make sure that the milk stays between half a gallon and $3.50, you have to really put some effort to kind of figure out how to navigate that gauntlet. So the beginning point to resolve this is to get away from the conflict in units. And we need a way to think of too much in quantity and too little in quantity. And now one person can pretty easily say, how do I keep it between 10 and 20? Becomes very simple. But the interesting story is when we think about, I get in trouble if I run out of inventory. And so if I get in trouble by running out of inventory, I'm going to raise that line of too little. We still need a way to agree upon what that line is, but we're going to raise it because we got in trouble for too little. Now, if I get too much and I'm thinking in dollars, and my management comes to me and says, you need to lower the dollars of inventory, I'm going to lower my too much line. And eventually, my too much line is going to keep going down, and my too little line is going to keep going up, and I run into a real problem. But if we switch our mindset and we think about too much and too little, both in quantity numbers, then we end up with something called demand-driven MRP. We end up with a solution that makes some sense. And when we have a way to calculate that is consistent and that is agreeable to everyone, to say too little is this quantity calculation and too much is this quantity calculation, what we end up with is actually a statistical process control chart to track how our inventory is doing. And if we stay in between the two lines, we're doing well. And the dollar value that we are tracking for inventory that is so important is an outcome of our work here. That's a piece that we're missing. The dollar value is the outcome of this work. And the continuous improvement piece is where we move both lines lower and still stay within the two lines, which means we're going to be able to continue to meet our customer requirements. For more interesting stories, follow me, John MELBYE, Become Demand Driven. See you next time.